All right, welcome to a special edition of Establish the Run YouTube channel. I'm Mike Leone here with Sam Sherman of Establish the Run, and we are drafting a main event team on FFPC $2,000 entry team, grand prize of $1 million. And right off the bat, we do get a surprise, Sam, with CeeDee Lamb going first overall. Probably an overreaction to the CMC news, but maybe a structural thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The CMC news. I've been a little out of pocket today, so I don't have the latest on that. But it seems not overly serious. Like I don't think it's bad to take Lamb over him, especially maybe in like a best ball format. But I'm not really docking CMC too much on that.
Yeah, there's some structural reasons to take Lamb. But yeah, the CMC captain really doesn't sound like an issue. We were talking before, we do in this format, so people know this is a managed league. It's a 20-round draft. The way it works is weeks 1 through 12 is the regular season. Top 4 teams advance to a league playoffs in weeks 13 and 14. If you are the regular season champ, or I believe if you're top 2 seed in the regular season, you make it to the overall playoffs, which is weeks 15 to 17. That's where the big money is. Or if you don't do that, you can win those league playoffs in weeks 13 and 14 to get to the overall championship. So there's some wrinkles with bye weeks. I've started a slow draft with Dink where we have a bunch of week 14 bye weeks. So like we need to win. We need to be a top 2 seed in the regular season because we're not going to win the league playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were hoping to get Brees or Bijan, just get an anchor running back. Not going to happen. 7 spots, a little bit of an odd spot where we're likely getting, Jefferson or Amon-Ra, I think. Fine.
Oh, interesting.
Amon-Ra goes. So I think it's Chase for me over Jefferson.
Chase for me as well. Just the quarterback certainty there. I really like Chase this year. Diving into the Bengals splits a little bit last year with Jake Browning versus Joe Burrow, they saw a huge uptick in like pre-snap motion stuff when Browning took over. And now the OC that was there, Brian Callahan, he's over in Tennessee now, obviously. But I do think they're going to continue some of that usage, and that really unlocked, the Miami wide receivers last year, the San Francisco wide receivers last year. So I'm hoping they can meld like the Joe Burrow shotgun stuff with a little bit more of the Shanahan style scheme with pre-snap motion and stuff. So yeah, just super high on Chase this year. I think that's a good pick at 7.
And for people unfamiliar with the roster format, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex spots, kicker, defense, 10 on the bench. It's also full PPR except tight end premium scoring. So tight ends score 1.5 points per reception, which is a huge deal. And looking at the way we're set up, I've generally been targeting tight end in this middle of the second round. I do feel like these drafts tend to, like, later on in the draft, Sam, the receivers that like go early on underdog last longer. So I do like to get like 1 running back early, but we're in kind of a spot where that might not materialize for us.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trickier spot. I think, A-Chain is somewhat interesting there. I guess by ADP, that's definitely a bit of a reach. He goes at 26 on average and would be taking him at pick 20. He's probably the one guy I would consider if we wanted to go with an anchor running back there. Otherwise, I think I'm pretty comfortable going wide receiver and tight end the first couple rounds here. And
I'm pretty firmly tight end here over HM, but we'll see how it plays out. I'm not even opposed to the bully tight end in these, where if Pitts or Andrews fell to us in the 3rd, like double tapping tight end out of the 7th spot. But we'll see what comes to us. Do you have, as far as Laporta, Kelsey, McBride, Kincaid seem to be the consensus top 4 tight ends, both by ADP and our rankings? Do you have preferences there?
Yeah, I like Kelsey and McBride a little bit more than Laporta and Kincaid. I think that's just a price thing for me on Laporta. But yeah, I kind of consider it a tier of 3 with Laporta, Kelsey, and McBride. I would have Kincaid like a decent tier break after those guys. So for me personally, I
Wow,
think
Achan goes at so much
wow,
for the ADP reach. Achan goes at the 1-2 turn.
yeah,
Yeah, those running back picks are probably good for us though. We're like pretty locked into, a tight end or Marvin Harrison or like with the Puka injury. I mean, if you're starting to think uniqueness in these contests, I can't imagine there's many Chase Puka teams. And
yeah,
you do think about the uniqueness a little bit. That overall playoffs to win that grand prize, we talk about like when you make it weeks 15 to 17, it's just like your cumulative score those weeks. I think does the regular season average carry over in FFPC or is it just the?
yeah. It does. It counts as one of the like 4 weeks. I'm
Okay,
like 90% sure of
so
that.
you're starting with your regular season averages if that was 1 week, and then you've got 3 playoff weeks. So
Yeah.
I'm I'm probably Puka then tight end, but there's obviously Drake London and Marvin Harrison there by our rankings as well.
Yeah. Man, I like this. This is for me. I told Leone before the show, adjusting to the FFPC tight end premium scoring is such a huge adjustment. Because obviously an
It's big,
underdog
yeah.
DraftKings, you're not considering those guys there. I think that makes a lot of sense though. Like one of those tight ends or Puka or London would be where I go. I think I would rank it something like, Laporta, McBride, Puka, London, and then Kincaid. If that's sort of the top five we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, and
But yeah,
it's
open to your input there as well.
no, I mean I think it's very close. Well, we're kind of I the London versus Kincaid would have been tough, but now we are into either Laporta, McBride, or Puka. If I wasn't thinking about like this overall contest, I think I would definitely lock in the tight end, just given the scoring and
Yeah.
not risking one of Pitts or Kincaid not coming back. I should know like Kittle probably gets a bump up into that tier if like the IU trade rumors are legit and they seem like there's serious legs to him. I know previously I
Mm-hmm.
was really skeptical that'd be a real thing. I think I'm into Laporter. I don't know. I just don't think there's a lot of Chase Puka teams, so it's kind of
Yeah.
fun. But
Did you see this quote on the like? I'm reacting to this stuff real time now. Like the quote on McVay said on like the Bursa sack or whatever. Like,
he said it burst.
do we have any idea what that means? Because I have no idea what that means.
I don't know. He said it burst, which sounds bad to me, but the way he said everything was so casual, like it was a complete non-issue. So it was
I
like,
know. Yeah, man.
um,
I'm like searching Twitter live for takes on what the injury means, but um,
Puka goes. So we're on the
okay.
clock. I think it's Laporta over McBride. But it's close.
I like Laporta, and yeah, I think it's really close, and the price discrepancy between them, like in other formats, doesn't make a lot of sense. But if I had to pick them straight up, I think I give slight edge to Laporta.
All right, let's go
Um,
Laporta. Who's like this is the second. I've seen him for a while. He was going clearly first and at 1-2 turn, but this is like 2 straight drafts where he's kind of made it to this middle of the second round. Um, like I said, coming back, I'm really not opposed to like Pitts or Anders if it's there and like bully
yeah,
tight end this thing, but we'll see. There's going to be a good wide receiver that comes back too, though. The nature of the tight end premium is it's going to push some of those receivers that go at the 2-3 turn. That either that or like a Kyron Williams running back, falls.
yeah, and the uniqueness point too. We were saying Puka Chase is unique. I mean, Laporta Chase has to be very unique. He has an ADP of 14.9. I'm seeing right now. So the odds of getting him and Chase paired together, there can't be that many teams that have that either.
Yeah. Chase
Because
at 5.8 for his ADP. So it's definitely got to be below the average pairing.
yeah, it's 5 and 15. We got them at 7 and 18. So yeah, not crazy, but certainly pretty unlikely.
Seems like a pretty normal room so far. Achan, the only pick that's really kind of pretty far off ADP, and I'm debating Silva on Man versus Machine tomorrow, but I know he's got Achan very high. He's got him as a 1-2 turn pick. There's a couple like younger, exciting players that Silva is higher on than me, so I'm like a little bit shook heading into Man versus Machine.
That's always one of my favorite podcasts of the season. The DJ Moore, not to bring it up because this is one you lost last year, Leone. I lost this too because I was fading Moore big time last year, and we got destroyed by Silva on that one. That was a man over Machine take for sure.
That was a victory. I'm really surprised McBride has not gone yet. I guess his ADP is 19, so this isn't that far off for him. It's so crazy how different rooms can be, though. I was in, one where it was like all the tight ends were gone by this pick. Like everybody went tight end. And there goes McBride. That's sort of the start that I love is like Bijan, McBride, and then you can go like wide receiver heavy after that. Neighbors goes, and I don't know if training camp hype is like, I mean, this is like a peak training camp hype thing. I think Neighbors belongs here. So I'm kind of tilting the training camp hype on Neighbors because it's like pretty legit. I think it's going to move him up in home leagues too. When it shouldn't really be changing things, but it definitely seems like it is.
Yeah, man. It's just like, it's tough to make arguments against Neighbors, like both from the ceiling perspective and the floor perspective. I mean the floor, you can ding him a little bit, but the Giants don't have any other choice besides just like making him the focal point of the game plan every week. So from a target perspective, it seems like such a locked in floor for a rookie, which is weird to say because, wide receiver is talent based and there's maybe, it's a little bit misleading to say there's a floor there, but it does feel like the target floor is pretty strong with Neighbors.
Sam, we might be headed for a Kyle Pitts argument here.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts. So I'll be honest, like I am out on him, but it's maybe a little bit misleading. We do bits on ADP chasing. I think I have like 6% Kyle Pitts. It's not like a hard fade by any means.
20%.
You're at 20? Oh man. It's just like
dude, he's a guy that he's gonna be going at the 1-2 turn next year.
How many years in a row have we said that?
But I was out on him 2 years ago when he really flopped, to be fair. We have them for 5 pass attempts more per game than last year. I think he was hurt last year a little bit.
Oh boy, Evan Ingram.
And the efficiency of the targets too is like obviously a dramatic increase going to Cousins from Heineke and Ritter. But
yeah.
No. So I don't really think there's a running back in play. So it's kind of like a Nico Collins, Devontae Smith type versus a Pitts, Andrews, Kittle. Kittle's probably a next round type guy.
Yeah. I think for me, I think with already having Laporta on this team, I would go I think the Nico, Ayuk, Devonta tier of wide receivers, and I probably have them ranked in that order. I think I would take above Pitts by ADP. Those are slight ADP. I guess it's pretty close, but Nico's 30 ADP. Yeah. So yeah, for me, this is Nico or Ayuk. If you really want to make the case for Pitts, I'll hear it out. But
we could go Nico and maybe kind of risk that we could get Pitts or Kittle. Probably won't happen. I'd probably be Nico here. Is Nico who you have at the top?
Nico is who I'd have at the top here.
Nico over Watt. Yeah, you're an anti-Waddle guy here, so we'll go Nico.
Yeah, no, I'm actually not anti-Waddle. I do have Nico over Waddle though.
We're locking in Nico, correct?
Yep, I'm good with that.
I just want to confirm. So we go Nico. So Chase, Laporta, Nico. Really wasn't a running back there that like was in play for me. If Kyron had fallen, I probably would have been like, let's do it. He's probably not our highest ranked guy, but like, let's eat the running back when it's like less of a sacrifice. But I guess Pacheco is the guy that people would be saying is maybe worth a pick there, with him looking like he's going to play all 3 downs this year.
Yeah. He would be the next guy for me. But yeah, to me, I would, even though I'm skeptical on Pitts a little bit, I think I would have been still Pitts over Pacheco there. But yeah, I think we still have a decent chance of one of these 3 guys coming back. It's not likely, but it's possible, especially Kittle.
If the people avoid the bully tight end stuff, then there's 4 teams that could make a tight end pick that don't have it. Yeah, I guess it's just 11 has a tight end. I was counting our team. So 4 of the 5 don't have a tight end. So we're probably going to see a run, but sometimes you gotta take some gambles on the ADP stuff. And the Nico ADP is 6 spots higher or earlier than Pitts, 6.5 spots earlier than Pitts. Really surprised Andrews has not gone. If Kincaid had lasted, we would have had to take Kincaid. Like, that would have been nuts, but he doesn't last. That's a really nice start for Team 5. Honestly, has I probably would have done that in the opposite. I would have taken McBride, but they end up with Brees, London, Kincaid. That's a pretty nice start for sure.
Yep. And Pitts goes. So yeah, Andrew's a big faller by ADP. At this point, he's 7 picks past ADP or so, and still is on the board. So that's certainly interesting. I imagine he has to get snapped up by one of these next couple teams.
Yeah, I put it. I'd be shocked if Andrews came back. I think we are looking at like this next round if Pacheco came back, which I doubt he's going to. Would take Pacheco. Then so just knowing the hard part is I think the receiver's probably going to look like the best pick on the board, but the way our rankings are set up when we draft, that might be the case for rounds 1 through 10. So we're trying to find the spots to detour, I guess. The quarterbacks do seem to go a little bit later than in best ball. So that's nice where we've got Burrow, Stroud as 2 quarterbacks that are top 10 and stackable. So we can definitely wait on quarterback probably till at least 7, possibly 8, depending on how much we want to push things.
Yeah. The other guy I would throw out there as a potential running back detour, and I want to check his ADP. So James Cook is the name there. His ADP is 44. I guess our next pick is at 42. So I'm not sure I want to reach by ADP for him, but he's a guy that I'm making exception for in the dead zone this year. I just think there's a lot of uncertainty with how the Bills offense is going to shake out without Stephon Diggs. He was the guy that everything was schemed around last year in the passing game. I think everyone kind of expects it's going to be Kincaid, Samuel, Keon Coleman this year. I wouldn't be surprised if James Cook actually sees a decent bump in the passing game this year, if they just view him as their most talented offensive weapon. I just think, he's a talented player. Definitely needs some touchdown stuff to break his way that hasn't gone there historically, but yeah, he's a guy I'm okay with. I don't think I would take him over some of these wide receivers though.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm okay with him in general, but it's going to be tough. Let's look at
Ayuk is probably going to slide, right?
Yeah, Devontae goes, which that stings. I'm a huge Devontae, but Mike Evans and Ayuk, I think, are clearly the top 2 receivers on the board.
DJ Moore, do you have him sort of a tier below those guys?
I think DJ Moore is fine, but I'd say maybe a small tier, a half a tier below those guys. Devontae Smith's the guy I would have loved to get. That guy's setting up an Eagle stack. Hurts lasts pretty long, so that's a good chance that guy gets Hurts at the 5-6 turn. So he's got AJ Brown, JT Andrews, Devontae, which is a nice squad there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at our ranks, which have Evans, Ayuk is sort of the best, with a mini tier drop off to Pittman, DJ Moore, Metcalf, Diggs. Diggs is somewhat interesting if you want to try and set up the Stroud goes ham sort of thing. They are a week 14 bye, so Ayuk finally goes. I think it's Kittle or Evans. I don't think I want to go Cook here, but
Yeah,
see
no,
if there's
I
any
agree. I
other
think
one.
it's for me. I'd probably have it Evans Kittle, but if you want to go the other direction, oh, Kittle goes.
Kittle
So
goes, so I think it's Evans here. Um, yeah, I mean, there's always slight concern with an aging player like coming off a contract year, but this is pretty late for Mike Evans, and it's about. I feel like
good.
even if you're bearish Mike Evans, this is like it's about. I mean, it's hard for him to drop much further than this. Looking at the tiers, other than like more running back picks go. So
Yep, it's like a 10 pick ADP value, 32 ADP. We got him at pick 42. So yeah, I think I generally probably if things go by ADP, I'm not ending up with a ton of Mike Evans because I prefer like Debo, Neighbors, some other guys that go after him. But yeah, this spot seems good.
um, so now I definitely think James Cook's in play for the next round. If he were to slip, it would be probably. I'll go back to the draft board for the people watching this. I think it's unlikely he slips. There's 3 running backs I'd be willing to take, and I know one of them's like a dead zone guy, but I still like him. That would be Rashad White, Josh Jacobs, and James Cook are the 3 running backs I'd take here. Possibly Mixon,
Yeah,
but I'd probably just go receiver at that point and hope to get like Mixon or Kenneth Walker in like round 6.
I would love to get Mixon or Kenneth Walker in round 6. I like both of those guys, especially at that price. Again, don't have the ADPs off the top of my head, but Kenneth Walker at 55 ADP, so that would be
Yeah, we're
tricky to get.
referencing the Football Guys Championship ADP from
Okay,
the last 7 days, so it's not exactly in line with the main event, which we're doing. It's lower stakes, which is a little more running back heavy, and we've seen that with like Pacheco falling at 3-4 turn. There's some exceptions, but it should be like roughly, indicative of the room we're looking at.
got it. Yeah, so Kenneth Walker, I think right at our pick in the 5th round, I think would be at ADP. And Jacobs. I think those are the only 5 guys that are kind of in contention for me in the next couple rounds at running back.
Yeah. And part of the reason we're willing to detour again, I do expect at least 1 or 2 of those rookie receivers that we have to take at like mid 6 to early 7 on underdog go maybe as late as 8th, 9th round, which is, it's going to be hard for us to be like, no, we're done at wide receiver. And Roma Dunze's there at 8-6 or whatever. So I'd love to try and sneak in a running back pick, but we don't want to overly force it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Rashee Rice or the Chiefs wide receivers too? Because I think that's also potentially a debate at our next pick. To me, it's seeming more and more likely that Rashee Rice is not going to be suspended this year. But his ADP is maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm definitely on board with that. That also brings Mahomes into play as Mahomes goes. So scratch that. But I was going to say, like, if we know the receivers are going to be available later and we're having difficulty finding the running back to detour, a different way to go is to get a premium stack and detour with the quarterback.
Yeah.
So had Mahomes circled back, you could have gone Mahomes and then just gone whichever chief wide receiver lasted to the 6th round. And a decent chance you get Worthy in the middle of the 7th as well. So I would have been on board with that, but it does not happen for us.
Yep. Got it. And then, so just...
I still like Rice even without the Mahomes stuff, though. I think, what we're looking at is, I mean, Diggs is still on the board. Diggs and Dell are still on the board. I don't mind setting up just like a Houston, just play Stroud to go nuts thing.
I like that too. Dell did go in the 4th, but Diggs.
Oh, Dell went.
Thank
you. Yeah, yep. I missed Dell.
Diggs. I mean, man, Diggs. Oh wait, no, Diggs. Sorry, Diggs is gone too. He went at 3-4 turn. I missed that
Oh
completely.
geez, I'm totally off. Trying to do the production and the keeping track of the picks is not going super well for me. So the wide receivers available are Pickens, Christian Kirk, T. Higgins just goes off the board, Chris Godwin, who we're high on. Honestly, right now I'm kind of fingers crossing that we get James Cook, who you like a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Kenneth Walker goes. Would you take White if Cook went and White was on the board?
Who would the other top wide receivers be?
So you'd be looking at Pickens, Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, Keenan Allen. But playing some ADP games, I think you might be able to get Keenan coming back. There's Hollywood, Rashee Rice. There's a lot of receivers on the board. Rashad White, Cook, Mixon, I think are for me, like the last of the running backs. I kind of am like, the other running backs I think are fine if you get them in like 7, 8, but I'm just worried they even go earlier. And then you're talking like true zero RB, which is fine. We could do that if it comes to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know. So by ADP, I think I might be mixing. Oh, Cook goes. I might be mixing over White, but White goes too.
White goes. So yeah, I guess the question is, do we want Mixon, hero running back, or just go wide receiver, which is probably like Christian Kirk on our ranks. I think it'd be Kirk by ADP in our ranks. But I'd be okay taking a swing at Mixon here, even though I know he's a little bit dead zoney, but just the way these drafts set up.
Yeah, this is a tough call. I think it's definitely between Kirk and Mixon for me. Yeah, the thing is, I mean, if these ADPs hold true, there's going to be a lot of wide receivers we like later. I do kind of like the Mixon bet, even though it's a little dead zoney, just that the team already committed to him this offseason. I think I'm good with Mixon here if you're okay with it. It's also
let's go Mixon. Also, like, you see the run on the board of running backs. You hope that it springs a run. Alvin Kamara goes, so now we've seen 5 straight running backs. This is where we hope to see like a way too early James Conner pick, you know?
Yeah.
And then when we start doing the 2v2s, I think it works out, even though in a vacuum, Mixon's not the pick there. But roster construction and just playing the room ADP wise, I think it's a good play.
Yeah.
Again, though, we do have, now Houston with the week 14 bye and those being the league playoffs. At some point, you kind of just would prefer to stack those and just try to win the regular season as much as possible. But I'm hoping we see some running back picks go. Team 9 with a nice 0 RB start. Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, go to Kyle Pitts, Brandon Ayuk, following him on value. And I'm not a big Pickens fan, but the price tag on Pickens is definitely fine there.
Just one note on Mixon I had that I thought was interesting. He's going to be in a completely different rushing scheme. And I know you made the point that some of these rush efficiency metrics are very noisy year to year. I think they're especially noisy when he's coming from an environment in Cincinnati where he's taking basically every single handoff at a shotgun. Now going to a Shanahan scheme where they're going to use a lot more sets with the fullback, a lot more 12 personnel sets, a lot more sets with CJ Stroud taking snaps under center. That could be a much better fit for Joe Mixon's rushing style. So again, the team just committed to him this offseason. I get his profile is like a little, is he talented or not? But there is reasons to believe that like in a completely different environment, maybe some of that rush efficiency stuff just looks a lot better.
Rashee Rice off the board. That's somewhat disappointing.
I
was hoping he might slip. We have not gotten a bad running back pick yet. I don't like Kamara, but this is where he typically goes. That was not a reach on Kamara. And in the full PPR format, you could kind of see where it would pay off. Yeah. Ridley goes, which I think is good. That's a receiver I'm not in on, at least. Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, for me, Keenan would be the guy that I'd really like here.
Yep.
There's also Ferguson.
Do we consider the next tier of tight ends at all? Like,
that's what I was going to say. Ferguson, Njoku, and Bowers are And we've also got a guy that we took last year that didn't come through for us when Sam and I did this, Dallas Goedert, in there. I think tight ends in play too, for sure.
Yeah.
And Ferguson sets up like we're really high on Dak. It's hard, might be kind of hard playing the Dak upside game without CD in a contest like this, but I don't think it's out of the question with the tight end premium scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm Keenan here over Ferguson or the other tight ends, but Ramondre goes. There's the reach we want, just so people see on the draft board.
Yeah,
I think I'm Keenan here. What about you?
Yeah, so
there's still a lot of receivers on the board, obviously, but at this point, it's kind of the tight end and receiver are basically there's a little bit of plus in having a backup option at tight end, but for the most part, battling for a flex spot.
Yeah, I think I would probably go with one of the tight ends here over Keenan, but I think it's really close.
All right, let me check the ADP. Keenan 71. Ferguson's early. I'm kind of Keenan and hoping one of the tight ends drops, but
okay, I'm good with that. I think
is that okay?
Yeah, good with that. Yeah, yeah. I think it's
also
close.
We have Stroud and Burrow. I'm going to throw in our queue just so we don't forget about them. But we also now have Caleb as a guy that we like a lot relative to the market. Aaron Jones goes. This is what we want. We want these running back picks. Like we want to see James Conner go. We'd love to see the running backs go. The where I might regret Keenan is if we end up so flush at receiver again that it might be nicer to just have the optionality of having a second tight end in case Kittle gets banged up or in case Laporta gets banged up or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've noticed from doing those. And it's not something you think about like in best ball, but in these, like if your tight end's banged up for a couple weeks and you just took basically one tight end and then maybe a bunch of flyers, like it really hurts you when you have to scramble to the waiver wire to try to get tight end starts. So having like the bullet tight end just gives you that flexibility in that scenario. But I think there's a decent chance you still get one of these guys coming back. We'll see.
Are there any running backs you'd consider in the next round? We're looking at James Conner, Zamir White, David Montgomery, Swift, Mostert, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren.
Jalen Warren, I like there. I think I'm pretty
RB, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I got my card, my 0 RB card. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm pretty comfortable playing wide receiver, tight end, and kind of treating Mixon as an anchor running back. I think that's what the flexibility of the Mixon pick allowed is to kind of go with what I think the better pick is in a vacuum in these next couple rounds. But yeah,
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah,
I think it's a pretty flat thing. Maybe should it? I really like Keenan this year, so that Keenan versus tight end was tough. Like it's hard for me to measure, how much having a second backup tight end, a flex and a backup tight end matter. What bonus is that versus just taking like probably the better pick? That's a tough one because it doesn't look like one of those three tight ends is going to make it back to us, though we are pretty high on Goddard. So by ETR tiers, Goddard probably wouldn't be, we actually have him not too far below Njoku.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be kind of surprised if team like there's two teams without a tight end. I would think that team 1 or team 6 is probably going Njoku. But we'll see. I think we're definitely going to get a wide receiver we like here. I mean, a Dunze, I don't know if that's a reach by ADP, but he's a guy I like a lot. And I kind of think the Chicago double stack is pretty interesting. But his ADP, according to this, is 102 in FFPC. So we can probably wait on him.
Yeah, I think it goes earlier, and that's where I struggle in the main events too, where you get a sharper group, a lot of money on the line, and it can
Yeah.
be difficult to know when to stray from ADP and when not to, because you're kind of middle, like you still want to give yourself a chance to bank the best possible team, but at the same time, you don't want to overly rely on it. So that's yeah, that's a tough one. Montgomery is the one running back I was going to say that I actually, like of that group the most. Kind of surprised
Mhm.
James Conner is sticking around based on his ADP. Someone that I hope goes. You see Njoku off the board. So Goddard would be the last of the tight ends, but I think we want to reach for one of these wide receivers with end of season upside, right? Over Goddard, or would you take?
I would go for the wide receiver regardless. And Njoku was kind of the last of a tier for me, and I think Goddard, if he comes around at a value, sure, but I think given that we already have Laporta, I'm okay passing him up.
And
Goddard
I'm
strikes me as like a
guessing,
best ball than managed play this year as well.
I'm guessing too that given that we have so many stack options for this team that we don't feel the need to go Stroud here.
I feel this. I feel the same way. I was thinking about it, but again, sharper room. I think the quarterback ADPs could slip a little bit farther than what suggests. I think we could try to push to get Stroud at a value because we have so many options.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it's tough. Like, I don't even know the order to pick these guys.
Yeah,
I
man.
kind of lean a Dunze and just taking him, thinking we're still going to get one of the other guys coming back. Like, we could go a Dunze and then maybe get, like, I'm in on Brian Thomas. I don't think he should be priced that differently than Keon and Ladd.
Yeah.
If you were playing the ADP value game, Ladd is the one that goes earliest, but I think my lean would just to be go a Dunze and build out that double
Yep.
stack right now.
I lean the same way, and I think I am. Even though it says by ADP it's a reach, the room we're in right now, like Xavier Worthy, he went 30 picks ahead of ADP or something. Like I think we're in a room where we just go with who we think is the best pick. For me, that would be a
All right,
Dunze.
let's go with Dunze, and then I still think so. Now, for the people wondering why we have so many receivers, we can only start max 4. I think sort of like our philosophy in this type of thing is that to really put up a winning score in the playoffs in these formats, you need like, Sean Siegel talks about like having 4 top 15 wide receivers that you're clearly starting. And we're hoping by the end of the season, those 4 become very clear. So just because we're taking a Dunze rookie who might start on our bench, we still find that very important. Like busts are going to happen over the course of the season, bye weeks, injuries, guys are going to break out, and we want to be starting those 2 flex spots. We want, whether it's tight end or wide receiver, we just really want to have a high end pass catcher with a huge ceiling. And we think that, we got Mixon, we got one very startable running back. We're going to be able to load our bench with handcuff upside guys or ambiguous backfield. So that's sort of the idea. If people are curious why we took a bench receiver, and we're likely going to take a second bench receiver with this next pick. It's probably that or quarterback with our next pick, depending on what the room looks like.
I agree with all of that. I think also there's just so many cheap running backs this year that have projectable week 1 roles. Obviously, they get priced up a little bit in this format, but guys like Rico Dowdle and Zeke, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, I think we can tack one of those guys on pretty late and have a decent chance of feeling pretty good about our RB2 week 1. So it's not something I'm overly worried about. I do want to still make sure we get like some good upside of that position. I don't want to overlook it, but I think we have a lot of shots at that throughout the draft.
Yeah, and I'm definitely feeling better about the Mixon pick, getting
Yeah.
Keenan and Rome, and like we're likely going to hit receiver again. And this is what I mean, where you do the 2v2. We don't take Mixon there and we take T. Higgins, for example. You look at T. Higgins and Jalen Warren versus like Mixon and Jackson Smith and Jigba or something. Like I think we take the Mixon side, especially understanding.
Yeah.
that we're already pretty flush at receiver on the high end.
Yeah. Mostert would have been a guy that if he came back to us in the 8th, I would have considered for sure.
Your guy Jalen Warren is still there too.
Yeah.
This is where this board comes where I'm like, if Keon, JSN, and Brian Thomas were all there, would we like? People really don't like Brian Thomas, and I honestly, fully don't see that much of a difference between Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, and Brian Thomas. Like, gun to my head, I'd honestly have Brian Thomas ranked first of those three, and he goes clearly last. I'm probably wrong if I'm that off market, but the point being, we could finagle that. There's also Stroud there, but I still think we've got Burrow and Caleb that could come back too. That and where's the the T team would have to pass on Burrow twice, but they took Kyler already. So I think we're.
I would go wide receiver or Jalen Warren over quarterback still. I think.
Looking at this board on that left side too of the room, 4 of those teams have quarterbacks of the 6, and the other 2, team 4 probably is going to get Stroud. But I think we're okay allowing that to happen, knowing we can get Burrow or Caleb. And something I've been more open to, I used to firmly be like, take your quarterback and manage and just play him, right? That you're not going to, I'm like a little bit on board with like double tapping quarterback, even in managed at the right cost. If Caleb and somebody else, depending on how it goes. I mean,
I'm with you there, especially like the pocket passers. I kind of like that. Like I did that last year to some success. And if you swing and miss on one of those quarterbacks and don't have a backup option, it can really hurt you.
So big question here is, I think we take Keon or Brian Thomas here. I think we got to, and then hopefully come back with running back, and then we'll see what happens with quarterback. There's a chance we could go do like a Caleb and Jaden Daniels thing, which would be pretty sick.
Yeah,
where you get either the stack hits in a big way or Jaden's rushing upside so incredible that you're starting him no matter what. But yeah, I think we're taking the last of these rookie receivers. Keon or Brian Thomas? You will get no arguments from me one way or the other. If you're going for max flexibility, Brian Thomas opens up Lawrence, but I don't think that's a huge consideration given that.
So the ADP
will likely fall.
Yeah, the ADP gap on them is about 10 spots, so that's not a huge factor either.
We also might just have to be done at receiver for a little bit, even if one were to fall. Unless would we take Brian Thomas if he fell? I guess is like.
I think it's possible. I think I would go with Keon here.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to talk me into Keon.
Yeah, like, you got to get some Bills good vibes on this team. Yeah, that's a super close one.
If Brian Thomas falls, I think I'd say take him, and then we're like closed out at receiver. This is a year more than others. I do actually have some receivers like the Romeo Dobbs types that in the past, when we got to that range, I'm just like, I don't care about these guys in managed. I actually think have some juice, but done at receiver. Like we're at 6. It's probably going to be a 7 receiver team. But yeah, I'd take Thomas if he fell. If he doesn't, then that's where we got to start planning out the quarterback versus running back and the order we want to do things.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Stroud is like kind of a no-brainer to me if he comes back to us. I think it's a little bit unlikely. Mm-hmm. Then I would probably I think Burrow too, for me, falls into that category just because I think the ceiling with him and Chase in a given week could be really nice for the playoff sprint, and he's a good ADP value. I think if both those guys are gone, then we gotta maybe consider running back. I think Caleb is pretty likely to like come back around, and yeah, so I think that's what I would have it. I got to take a look at the running backs that are available.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good ones, but it's like at some point they're all going to go. So it's one of those things where you
Yeah.
have this false sort of security that like, oh, there's so many, we'll get one, and then they all go.
Yep.
I do like in managed boosting up the rookie running backs a little bit and really swinging for the upside there.
Yep.
Just because we're gonna rotate through so many guys on the bench. I'm like more pure upside, but dude, like Tony Pollard is a starting running back. You know, we've got Devin Singletary is a starter, Javonte Williams is a starter, so we have the ability to possibly get starting running back, a quarterback, and then take all the kind of high upside guys depending on how it falls.
Yep. Yep. Chase Brown. Yeah, that's the example I was gonna say. Like in a managed league, like Chase Brown over Zach Moss is a pretty big no-brainer to me, but that's, I guess, not a hot take. He goes and Zach Moss is still on the board. Yeah. I like, of this running back group, I like Javonte, Spears, and Singletary, I guess, would be the top three. You mind going to the running backs that are available for a second?
Yeah. So I think
Moss I like too.
Brian Thomas does go. Moss, Brian Robinson, Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary, Tajay Spears. I don't think I'm in on Chubb.
No.
But I like Corum and Benson a decent bit too, just betting on the rookie running backs. If we were committed to Caleb, you know, there's a chance you could get like a starting, quote unquote, starting running back and then one of the rookies. You could also just say, like, let's just take Corum and Benson and go straight upside and then find someone to slot in later.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Team 4 is playing this smartly and getting Stroud on the comeback, knowing that these first three teams aren't going to take him. He's the guy with Dell, or the player with Dell.
Yeah, the only other thing I'm thinking is he still has Jordan Love and Tua on the board, so maybe he's even playing more aggressive at quarterback. That's why I think there's a chance he lets Stroud go, but doesn't feel super likely.
That's where I'm like torn on if Burrow falls, if we want to take him or just keep kicking the can and go running back before. Like I said, it looks like there's a lot for us to pick from, but I could see it drying up quickly and, kicking ourselves a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, like one of these, like Zach Moss, Javonte goes, I guess. To me, like Zach Moss, Brian Robinson, and Tajay Spears, I think there's a bit of a tier break after those three guys. And yeah, Singletary, I'm fine throwing in that group as well. But yeah, then we're getting to kind of pure handcuffs almost. Stroud does go. So
Stroud goes to a team that takes two quarterbacks. So that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Just because it makes it harder to kick it down the line, which makes me more keen, I guess, to take Burrow here. But we do have the Caleb thing set up.
Yeah, Jordan Love. Okay,
and we could take Baker super late as a second quarterback too. Just as insurance / if they. They were putting up some solid numbers at the end of the year too. Yeah, Team 4 gets Love. They probably would have taken Stroud, but they go Love.
We still have, in terms of other quarterbacks that are available, we still have a shield of Dak, who goes around this range. Jaden Daniels is maybe a more appealing pick than Burrow for one of these teams. So we still have some shields on Burrow.
I think he's a dog to make it back to us.
Oh, he goes.
The question he goes.
Yeah.
He goes unstacked to Team 6. Burrow goes. So I think this is a running back pick, and I think it's Moss here.
Yeah.
You're good with Moss?
I'm good with Moss.
Yeah, there's Dalton Schultz at tight end, which is like fine, but I think we gotta go Moss here.
Yep. I like Moss. Yeah, I like both these Bengals backs. Like I think a lot of times people think they need to pick one or the other when there's an ambiguous situation. I'm attacking both of these guys pretty hard this year. I think there's a big win in this backfield. And yeah, I don't know. Zach Moss to me seems like more likely to be the goal line and pass catching guy, like third down guy to start the season. So if he performs well in that, we've seen them just ride Joe Mixon even when he was seemingly inefficient for a whole season. So yeah, tough to see how exactly it shakes out, but I like Moss.
Now, if it comes back to us, I think we take Corum or Benson if they're on the board and just prey on Caleb falling. Based on all 6 teams on that side of the board have a quarterback already. One has 2, but it's a risky play because if we lose Caleb at this point, these teams taking I guess just one team took 2 quarterbacks. So I think we're still in okay shape. It's just obviously scary if you lose Caleb. There's not a ton there for pure correlation purposes.
We do have the Jared.
Important.
We have Jared Goff, right, with Laporta.
That's true. That's true. Goff is like a good backup. That's a good point. And as I mentioned, those running backs, it seems like they're a ton. They go quickly. You can see they're going pretty quickly. But I will add like Marshawn Lloyd's another good one. Rico Dowdle.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely still very good running back picks. I like Corum a lot for this format where you're just really hoping to bank the big time upside.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens at quarterback.
Let's see what happens. I mean, so team 10, they could go Trevor Lawrence. They have Christian Kirk. Also, any of these teams I think are, liable to take an unstacked, uncorrelated quarterback as well.
Yeah.
Where's the DJ Moore team? I'm trying to think of where we should be worried about getting sniped. The DJ Moore team already has Mahomes, so
yeah, they're pick 1. They have Mahomes, and the way they're drafting, they seem sharp, which to me would indicate they would not take Caleb Love as a second quarterback at 10-11. And for people wondering why we're talking about the correlation to stacking so much, when you're in a three-week playoff sprint, you need to hit on upside and like try to get less things right. And if Caleb Williams just goes nuclear, we've got the 2 pass catchers that come along with him, and it's easier to win. It's harder sometimes to say take an unstacked Dak Prescott when you don't have CeeDee Lamb. If Dak hits his ceiling, there's probably a team out there with Dak and either Ferguson or CeeDee that just beats you. That's just better than you over that 3-week stretch. It's not impossible to win with an uncorrelated quarterback, especially a rushing quarterback like Jaden Daniels, the teammate took, or someone like Jalen Hurts. But that's why we're talking about the stacking so much.
Yep.
Corum goes.
So the best running backs would be best running backs would be like Benson, Dowdle, Lloyd, Charbonnet.
Yeah. I think those are the best. I like Benson here. If you don't think there's a tier gap, we could just lock in Caleb and but I think we've got some coverage with Dak and Purdy, and also
every team has a quarterback.
Every team has a quarterback, which I think I'd like to get that rookie upside in Benson. I'd vote Benson and gamble on Caleb.
I think I'm with you there. And also, it seems like on the DJ Moore team also has CeeDee Lamb. So if they are going to go second quarterback, it would make way more sense for them to go Dak.
Yeah. Is there a point you would go naked Dak? Dak goes.
Oh, Dak goes.
This team gets 2.
I think I'm with you on going Benson. It's definitely a bit of a risk, but there's still upside quarterbacks, even if it's not super correlated later. Like Brock Purdy, Justin Herbert. There's enough guys there where we're not going to be totally shut out. I would go with the upside of Benson, I think.
Okay, let's go Benson. And then, fingers crossed on Caleb coming back. That's the sweat. I really don't think Team 1's going to do it. Just the way they're building, I'd be surprised. I'm honest, even though they have DJ Moore, I'm honestly more worried about one of these other teams just kind of randomly taking a second quarterback. Just, this probably the Burrow or Love teams, I guess, would be somewhat of a fear just because they have less invested at quarterback that you could see them, thinking they're going to take 2.
Yeah. And by ADP, again, it doesn't mean everything in this, but he's 137 by ADP. Our next pick would be pick 127. So just purely based on that, I think decent odds he comes back around. Yeah.
And
we talked about the double quarterback thing, like, Golf with Laporta and Caleb with these 2 wide receivers is an interesting pairing, provided we get Golf at a bit of a discount. That could be interesting.
I wish the draft board locked with the teams up top when I scroll down. That always tilts me. So apologies to the people viewing that you can't see which team's which, but I think it's more important to have the names bigger. We get a running back run. I definitely feel better about Benson. Even Jalen Wright goes in that mix. I don't think I'd push Caleb again. I think I would, if he comes back, I think we just take him at that point.
Yeah. The only guy I think for me, like Dowdle would be the one guy I consider there, but I agree with you that I think it's getting a little too fancy to continue to push Caleb. We want the upside at quarterback. He's very correlated with our team. And yeah, as you're adding these guys to the queue, there's plenty of solid contingent running backs later we can tack on.
Yeah, I doubt it's going to work out where we take Komet, but just throwing him in the queue.
Yeah.
Not for this round, but if we got Caleb and Komet somehow was there in 12, I highly doubt it would be. I'd pull the trigger at that point.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
then we'd be, yeah. Stroud team does get a little stack. I mean, still would be, I still wouldn't build that way with taking Hurts at 411. That's where I'm not really taking 2 quarterbacks if I have Hurts. Other than, I mean, maybe someone late, but he does get Dalton Schultz at a pretty good price tag. Okay, team 1, the guy with DJ Moore goes Charbonnet. I think he's just going straight back to running back again. I think it's just classic 0 RB build.
Yeah, I bet he's going Dowdle here. I mean, Leone, have you seen the Zeke Elliott training camp clips? Like, he looks bad,
good.
man. He
not
looks
pretty.
I still think that, like, Rico Dowdle he's so inexperienced. He's such a weird prospect. Like, year 5 in the league, hasn't done anything, but he showed juice last year in limited touches, and we're really buying at Zeke or Royce Freeman. I mean, come on, let's be serious.
Yeah. I mean, I think Dowdle's clearly, the better pick of the 2. I'm still taking some Zeke just because I'm trying to think of the word for it. Is it agnostic? Nihilist? I don't know. I'll take anyone. Marshawn, in best ball in particular. In redraft, I'm a lot more like, I really want to feel the upside being there. Man, team 2 takes 4 tight ends. They take Komet.
Cranking it purple.
But in best ball, just like being on the field has its advantages.
Yes.
There not being roster moves and stuff. So that I saw you have a little bit of a tweet storm with talking about floor and best ball, and people kind of think because it's best ball, they can go for all ceiling. And it's like super odd and unintuitive, but it's almost the opposite. With that in mind, this is our first redraft one in a while. And that's where it gets weird, where like the way we're constructing these teams is definitely different than it would be in best ball. We don't have to worry about multiple tight ends, multiple quarterbacks necessarily. We're shooting more for upside. There's some players that might have good projectable volume at this point that we just don't care about. We've got our starters, and the bench is just give us the upside. The odds of these guys being dropped are big anyways. If we have to drop them, that's fine. We are getting a running back run. Oh, do we take Caleb or Rico?
Oh, man.
That's a tough one. I do like Ray Davis and Algier a good, Purdy goes. That might do it for me. I think you gotta go Caleb.
Let's go, Caleb. Let's not overthink it. I love Rico, but
Yeah.
I'll draft him plenty of times this year, and I think on this team specifically, we got to lock in Caleb. I mean, this is crazy. Like getting out of draft strategy and back to real football for a second. What Caleb Williams is walking into in his wide receiver room is just so ridiculous for the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Like 2 proven stud wide receivers in the NFL, and then Rome Odunze was like a consensus top 10 NFL talent entering the draft this year. It's really there's like upside there that the data on rookie quarterbacks in fantasy would not show you. He also does run a little bit too. Like he isn't given credit for as a dual threat, but he does run the ball. Like he could be a quarterback who has
and
6,
by the
7,
goal
8
line,
rushing
he
touchdowns.
was used a decent bit too for even if it's not huge volume. Yeah, I'm with you. To recap our team, Jamar Chase, we're starting in the 7th spot. Sam Laporta, Nico Collins, Mike Evans. We went Joe Mixon at 5. I'm really happy with how that turned out because we got Keenan Allen, very stable receiver we think has upside. And then we go back-to-back with the rookie wide receivers, Roma Dunze, Keon Coleman. Finally hit our RB2 and bench RB. Zach Moss gives us kind of like a day 1 starter for us. Trey Benson gives us the bench upside, and then we complete the Bears double stack with Caleb Williams. Did not want to push that any further. Man, Elijah Mitchell goes. That surprising pick with him hurt right now. I know CMC's got the calf thing, but it doesn't sound serious. And Mitchell might be in a battle for the RB2 spot with Jordan Mason. I still think Mitchell's probably ahead, but he's hurt. Would not be taking him in the 11th round. But Rico Dowdle, unfortunately, goes.
Yeah.
As far as tight end goes, the only one that's mildly interesting to me is Musgrave, but I kind of like just sitting on backup tight end here. I think I would take the second one at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
so this is where.
Go ahead, Leone.
Oh, no. So I was going to say this is where we're basically just stockpiling running back upside for, as long as we can. Maybe at some point we'd take Goff having, that stack with Laporta. There's also some backdoor Tampa Bay stuff, which I know the backdoor stacking doesn't matter as much in non-best ball, but I don't mind Baker Auden, Jalen McMillan, very late if it comes to that.
Yep. I agree with that. And I'm just curious, like the wide receivers by ADP that are around. I'm just trying to get a sense of who's there. Okay. So at some point, maybe we think about, like the Polk, Wicks, Leggett, maybe, although he's banged up. So that's less interesting to me.
Josh Downs is sort of in that Dobbs territory for me too, where it's like, I got burned on this a couple of years. I've gotten burned on the being just like, that guy doesn't have enough upside. Nico was the guy last year where I was kind of like, well, he got 6 receivers. I'm not taking Nico Collins. I'm not taking and what do we? So I could see Downs in that role. Wicks, of course, is more like your prototypical upside. Jalen Polk is out there. I mentioned Jalen McMillan, who I really like a lot. Late, Shakir's there for Buffalo. I think he's sort of me saying what I did with Nico last, where I don't know if the upside's worth it, but
well, that's where I don't want to completely give up a wide receiver, because last year I looked at our team. We got like Jordan Addison, Nico Collins, Rashee Rice, all pretty. I guess Addison was a little bit earlier, but Nico and Rashee were both around this range of the draft. So it's worth just like
Nico was all you.
Yeah,
I know Nico was.
I remember you did not want to take him, but
that's my flaw. The one year this was less of it, but even Zay Jones that one year, I refused to pick up on waivers anywhere, and he ended up he didn't hit a massive ceiling, but he was super useful. The Go Bills guys from Buffalo who won the main event, started him in one of the playoff weeks. So I'm trying to be more open to it, but I'm still kind of
right now,
I like Ray Davis and Algier a lot. I like Bucky. I like Tracy. I don't know.
Yep.
Running backs over Goff, right? We don't.
Yeah, running backs over Goff for me.
Cool.
Ray Davis is probably my preference here.
Yeah, I'm cool with Ray Davis. I think he's like a hybrid guy. He could have a little bit of a role in base and then a lot of contingent upside. So locking in Ray Davis.
Yep. Let's go, Ray Davis. I think
Ray
Algier. I
Davis,
mean, you can easily make the case for Algier there too. I think it's a toss-up.
yeah, Algiers sort of he's losing his base usability, even though I know there's been some comments the team's going to use him. We're not really buying that. But he almost has more upside than last year because if Bijan gets hurt, we could see a workhorse type role out of Algier. Whereas last year they were just splitting stuff nonsensically no matter what. That the pure ceiling was kind of
CPAT would be
capped.
in there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
I
do
think
like Bucky Irving, Tyrone
Yep.
Tracy, Estime. There's still like a good bunch of guys. And then even when we get real late, like Shipley, Lobby, like there's a lot of rookies. I think Damien, well, I don't think we want to handcuff Mixon necessarily, but Tank Bigsby, I guess, maybe is a better example of like a pure handcuff. ETN goes down and you hit gold with Bigsby type of thing.
Yep. Shipley.
Dude, I always forget. I think we have to draft a kicker in defense at some point.
You're gonna have to pull up Google on that.
Let me get Dank on speed dial. Let me tell him, hey buddy, who do we take here?
So the one like very minor wrinkle that we haven't talked through yet in this format is the Thursday night game of week 1. You can actually see how the player performs and then take them in and out of your starting lineup and actually even cut them. So what I always do for like a kicker and defense, if I'm taking last round, I'll take a defense or kicker in that Thursday night game, just knowing that like if the defense goes off, I can put in my starting lineup. If they do terrible, I actually get like a second chance at a defense that week. It's a really weird wrinkle in this format, but that's like the microest of micro edges I would recommend leveraging. Yeah, tight end, like I think like super late at tight end. I know we're not there yet, but like Dulcich, Theo Johnson, Ben Sinnott, like I think there's enough guys like even later that I'm okay still passing up this.
The running backs keep going too. I think that's where I got to reframe myself from best ball. These running backs I take in round 18, I'm taking them now because I don't need as much as other positions. And I'm with Theo, like I throw Tucker Kraft into that mix as well. I think I would like to have a second tight end, but I'm fine with it being late. So I think we'll just keep hitting running back. The only question would be like, at what point do we take Goff? I still think I'd be running. Polk is also interesting at receiver. I know there's obviously the IU trade rumors to New England, but Polk is sort of sticking out to me as like the last of these, more fun rookie receivers. I did mention I like Jalen McMillan a lot late, so I don't think we have to do it. It's a bit of a luxury pick, but just don't want us to totally forget about it.
Yeah, Polk. So yeah, the running backs we're getting into, it's just like if we don't take one of these running backs, there's a chance like that we get into the tier of guys that are like maybe not even the number 2 on the team. I don't know, like Estime, Braylon Allen. I like those guys quite a bit because I feel pretty good about their standing at number 2.
There. I like Braylon too.
Yeah,
I think a guy like Gibson is also a guy I'm like less interested in redraft.
Yeah,
where he does have some standalone value and he's got some contingent upside. Like he's a nice little hybrid, but I think we're looking for more like pure ceiling here. Maybe I'm shorting him on pure ceiling. I know we're high on him in best ball ranks, but just want to explain why we're not considering him as much as some of these other guys. Who do you like here the most? I think like Braylon, Estime, and Tracy are probably the top 3 for me. Like guys that have a decent shot at being number 2 and have like that rookie upside, and they have the pretty clear contingent upside. Tracy seems like he's ahead of Eric Gray right now, which is good to hear early in camp for a rookie.
Yep. Yeah, I'd probably rank it Estime, Tracy, and then Braylon Allen. And that's just kind of based on like odds of winning the starting role without an injury. Obviously, like Braylon maybe has like the highest ceiling, and that could be a really good offense. And if Brees goes down, he could be like from a contingent standpoint the highest ceiling. But I see more paths to Estime and Tracy like carving out starting roles without an injury.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably go with Estime
And
there.
just confirming, we definitely want to hit that before hitting Goff or Polk. I mean, you can make probably a valid argument for any three of those picks. I don't feel that strongly.
Yeah. This is our RB5 now, right?
Yeah. So we've done okay. I'm torn.
Man, Polk is like almost. I do see a flatter tier at running back than I do at wide receiver. I wonder if
I
we
think it might be
fight our
Polk. I mean,
fight our urges to take running backs and grab Polk here.
okay, let's go Polk.
Yeah. He also strikes me as a guy like some of these rookie wide receivers feel like true roster cloggers in that they're not playing. Like you can't even justify like playing them during a bye week when you need it. Whereas Polk, I feel like he could be useful when we get to bye weeks and injuries as just a guy who's on the field all the time and getting like 6 or 7 targets, even if he doesn't hit that ceiling. So he provides a little bit more usability over like the Ricky Pearsall who goes next, right? Like Ricky Pearsall is like probably not startable for a lot of the season in a way that I think Polk can be.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that was a good pick. I think we'll get more running backs we like.
And it's, you know, to Sam's point, last year in this range, we hit on our team Rashee Rice and Nico Collins. On a lot of teams, like Jaden Reed was in this range.
Yep.
You know, kind of that next tier rookies that really gets pushed down. They're not as exciting, but they do still have meaningful upside at this point in the draft. We are now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 receivers. We're probably done at receiver. I have a couple guys I really like that if they were there very late, we could maybe take. But the problem is we're really trying to hit lightning in bottle with a running back pick, especially with waivers and a long time, you know, a month out from the season. It's almost better to take a stab at a running back. And even if it's, you know, it's just more important to what it could do for our team.
Leone, do we have to have the Justin Fields conversation at some point on this roster?
Yeah, Fields is great gamble for managed late where
like I don't even care if we have to cut. Yeah,
you know?
That's what I'm saying. Is like if we draft him in like the 15th round and then have to cut him week 1, like I don't even really care about that.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think he's a phenomenal pick in these managed leagues like this. Man, one team has 3 quarterbacks already. That's just crazy.
Yeah,
that's too much for me.
That's just clogging your roster.
Two has grown on. Yeah, two has grown on me, but three with Burrow. I mean, and is that an unstacked Lawrence, unstacked Purdy, and unstacked Burrow?
And he has no tight ends.
And no tight ends. So Jose's team might be in trouble.
You know, that's the team that's going to beat us 180 to 70 in week 1. That just happens.
I know, with time. 2 of like, I do like Rachaad White, but he's got 2 of like the most, like if you look up the definition of dead zone running backs, like Rachaad White and Zamir White are like maybe even Aaron Jones. Jets defense goes. So gamble works off Estime. We get, let me just double check this ADP on Estime and Braylon Allen.
Yeah, that's a good
Estime is going a full round, about a round earlier, so it's definitely Estime. All right, I'm gonna lock him in.
Yep, I like that.
Cool. So that's nice. I think coming back, Braylon Allen would be great. If he's not there, I'd be fine doing the Fields thing.
Other thing I'll throw on this roster is like a last round Drake May to see if he wins the starting job week 1. It's maybe low odds, but with Polk on the team, it's not like the most exciting pick. But I could see a rationale for doing that. Maybe he wins the starting job, and you kind of want to see what he looks like week 1. But that's probably best ball brain talking when I'm talking about Drake May in managed leagues.
Yeah, the hard part is I don't think he's going to win week 1, but at the same time, we're playing range of outcomes. We can just drop him if that's the case.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, if
I
the choice was him versus like some really dusty like tight end or something like that.
Yeah, I'd probably take like Baker Mayfield over May, I think, but
Yeah.
arguably that's wrong just on the range of outcomes on May, just with his rushing ability and the unknown of a early rookie pick.
Yep.
I'd be pretty stoked if Braylon Allen came back. I'd really like our RB bets.
Yep.
That'd be fun. McMillan goes, who I mentioned I liked a lot, but as much as I like him, getting Polk in 13 there feels like a pretty big win.
Yeah, I agree. Just such an easy path for Polk to 20% target share. Not like it's ever easy for a rookie to do that, but man, that wide receiver depth chart is ugly.
We lost Braylon Allen goes. That dream is
Okay.
dead. Is Kenray totally dead? I mean, at what point is it just still worth taking him, regardless of what the coach says?
Yeah.
We can always drop him, right? We can always drop.
We can always drop him if he gets cut.
We can always drop. That's a strategy of every pick. We can always drop him.
Again, to the micro edge point of like the KC and Baltimore guys, because they play week 1 on Thursday night. Like Deneric Prince is a little bit more interesting to me because of that. We can just cut him if and also I'm realizing, Leone, there's a Friday game in week 1 this year.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you knew what's going on with that. Like, is that?
No, I did not know what's going on with that.
Okay.
I would assume it's the same rules because I don't know.
Still
It depends.
have drafts going, right?
Yeah, it has to be the same.
Drafts Friday night.
It has to be the same rules, I think. So that's Packers Eagles. So that makes a guy like Will Shipley more interesting for the Eagles if we want to.
I do think looking at this running back, I'm on the. Did Fields go? Did I miss him?
Yeah, Fields went. That's a good pick there.
That's that team 1. That's a sharp team. So,
yep.
Yeah, I definitely would have gone Fields this next round. I was kind of excited for that actually. Oh, now I'm a little bit sad.
Yeah, I'm good pushing quarterback, maybe considering like the Baker thing or Drake May thing like super late, but I'm pretty good.
I like Cousins I actually think Cousins has like better upside than people think. It's just tough to take him unstacked completely. Like that's where like I struggle with best ball versus redraft, where like correlation isn't as important, but when you've got a pure pocket passer and we're really trying to win the grand prize still, right? Like that's why we're entering this.
Exactly. And especially if you think you're doing a portfolio of these, I think you'll get, I know you're really high on the Atlanta guys. I feel like you'll get chances to take Kirk in ways that it just makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, who are the top running backs here? I think like Khalil Herbert's a guy that comes to mind for me that could have a bigger role week 1 than we expect.
I like Herbert. I like Bigsby as like a clear backup guy. I'm not as into Deneric Prince, but I think he's fine. I like Shipley a lot. I mean, I'm having a tough time ordering these guys, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Herbert's like a little bit of Antonio Gibson to me, where like a little bit of a base roll, a little bit of upside, but like as far as pure upside, I think like Bigsby, if something happened to ETN, might be better. It's just do we think there's value in like being able to play Herbert even if Swift is out there?
I think there could be definitely big value in Khalil Herbert with Swift getting injured, or maybe even him just being a better rusher. I just think, man, like Khalil Herbert has shown us he's a good NFL player, and Tank Bigsby hasn't. So I do see your point around like it's more crowded in Chicago.
We also have the passing game double stack that like.
Yeah, that's
but if he signs somewhere else, that'd be great. There's also Shipley, who we talked about. Like we could just take Shipley now. With the, I like Shipley. You want to take Herbert or Shipley?
Let's take Shipley. Tiebreaker, we can cut him if he's not the RB2. after Friday.
We love the option to cut players, baby.
Assuming we understand that rule correctly, which for the record, we don't know that to be a fact. But
let's be very clear. We have no idea if we understand that rule.
Man. Yeah, why not?
Damn, dude. We got to take like Sinnott at some point, right?
Yeah.
I like Theo Johnson a lot, though, too.
Dude, he almost seems like he has better odds of being the week 1 starter than Sinnott does at this point.
Yeah, he does.
And
which
Dulcich,
I mean, just wait.
Dulcich too, to me, is interesting from a pure upside standpoint.
So we've got 5 picks left, but we got to go kicker defense. I believe we have to draft him, right? One, right? Even
yeah, we do.
You can't do the Yahoo trick where you just don't draft one and pick one up. So that's 3 picks then, really, taking out kicker and defense. The question is, I guess it's boring, but I wouldn't mind going running back, quarterback, tight end. I know we don't have to back up the onesies and manage, but
I want to take a shot on a backup tight end for sure. Quarterback, I'm a little bit less sold that we need to do that, but
yeah,
I definitely think, because the thing is, in these leagues, there's always like 6 to 8 quarterbacks that are just hanging out on waivers, especially at the early parts of the season. So it's like, how much above replacement does Baker give us? Like, are we better off taking a shot at a random backup running back and hoping we bank like a preseason injury than taking Baker?
Yeah, we probably are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just, hoping Caleb's good.
Yeah. Are you interested in Dulcich at all? Is he in your draftable players in this format?
Yeah, I think there's actually a bunch of guys that are like fine here.
Yeah.
Which is why I like almost just want to draft the running backs we like most first and whatever tight end it is.
Yep.
But I mentioned I like Tucker Kraft a lot. It sounds like he could possibly play week 1 after, even though he's missed a bunch of time. We talked about Theo Johnson, Sinnott's there. I think Dulcich is fine. I don't think like all these guys go either. So I just think we keep going running back. We've got Bigsby lobby. We've got Herbert still there. I'd be fine taking Herbert in the next. I now waived him once already.
Yes, Sinnott. I'm just looking at the ADPs of these guys. Sinnott's at 191. Theo Johnson is like undrafted, basically. Dulcich is 244. So I think Sinnott is the one we're most at risk of losing if we think he's a significantly better upside bet than these other guys. I think there's a case for taking him. But
also, I think we're good at wide receiver, but just noting there is Luke McCaffrey, Malachi Corley, and Jermaine Burton, also Xavier Leggett, dealing with injury. But as far as rookie wide receiver dart throws, those guys are available.
Yep.
I think we're probably better off just keeping with the running back bets, though.
Yeah. It's just like the like at a certain point, we just want to free up the roster space. Like Leggett, if we didn't take Polk, I think is a pretty good, like, first round NFL draft pick available now is like pretty tempting. But yeah, I think when some of these like pretty attractive, like I still think Herbert is like a pretty attractive handcuff pick and he's still available, right?
Yeah, Herbert's still available. I mean,
Bigsby, who you like?
Really, if we didn't have Mixon, I'd say Pierce. I don't know how you feel about handcuffing. At a certain point, I don't know if it's that. I don't know. Herbert goes.
Yeah, I'm like more pro handcuffing than I think consensus, but I would go Bigsby over Pierce just because I think they're kind of like similar bets in the vacuum. Anyways.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's go Bigsby. Bigsby's also the type of guy that like we're trying to get really lucky at this point.
Yeah.
You know, it like Lauby obviously might have some sort of pass down role out of the gate that maybe he becomes, I don't know, maybe becomes startable in PPR formats without an injury, but we're really kind of just there's a lot more upside, I think, in Bigsby if ETN goes down than in Lauby if Zamir goes down, because
100%.
he might not even take that. You know, Madison's there. Madison's probably taking the 2 down work if there's an injury.
Yep.
I mean, you've talked about Trey Sermon Sermon.
He's like my next running back. I know he's down there on the list, but he's like the next guy I would take. I mean, again, we're just trying to like get lucky with injuries at this point. He seems like the clearest RB2 of anyone in this group. I get that he's a gross name to talk about, but like it's been pretty clear cut that he's the RB2 there for a while. And the Colts are a team that everyone wants to bet on this year. Zach Moss, who everyone thought was terrible, his career was over. He was like projecting as a top 3 running back in some weeks for you guys at ETR, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think the talent is that important if the Colts systems kind of stays intact this year.
Talent not being that important is my segue to, I still think CH is the favorite to be the backup in Kansas City. Not by like a large margin, but like if I had to pick between him and Prince, I think it's more likely to be CH. It's hard to know what to do with some of the PTSD stuff, and he hasn't been fully healthy. But Prince, the training camp stuff on Prince was the exact same stuff for him last year. Like they're giving him a tryout, they're giving him an extended look. That's great for him because it means he can win it, and it means he has more upside than CH if he does win it, because we know who CH is. But I still think end of the day, and the offensive coordinator even talked about it, like it sounds like CH is the favorite. You've also got Justice Hill in the that's the Thursday game, right?
Yep, that's a Thursday game.
Would happen with Henry or something. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think both of those guys.
So Sermon is top of your list. Tight end. Where would you go? I'm trying to think if I like Sinnott even more than Theo Johnson. Probably. You probably got to, right? I mean, our ranks have Sinnott well ahead, but
it's just like he's gonna be a tough guy to hold on to if Ertz is just the starter out the gate. It's gonna just be like it's gonna be a test of our wills when he has like a 10% snap count in weeks, 1 to 3 if we're gonna hang on to him. But maybe maybe Ertz is done and he's immediately a starter. And he was a second round pick after all, so you would think the team has a plan for him. But I'd probably take Sinnott here, like for the upside tight end swing.
Yeah, I think I'd take Sinnott too.
Yeah.
There's part of me that was almost hoping as a coward that I wouldn't have to make that decision and then Sinnott would go and which is take Theo Johnson.
Yeah, Theo Johnson is like the cooler, like you've been paying attention to training camp pick right now.
Yeah.
But it's probably Sinnott. But like, yeah, Theo Johnson, like I was so skeptical of him because it's just like these RAS tight ends that don't produce in college. I'm like, he's gonna be buried in the depth chart. And he's just like immediately ahead of Bellinger. There's been just nothing but positive news about him. He's making plays in their scrimmage against the Lions. Like, yeah, he's very interesting to me in a format like this where he could just be unexpectedly good.
Is it worth jumping ahead for DST kicker at some point? Sometimes I find value in just not getting the worst ones.
I would consider Butker, right? KC. I mean, is he the best? Or Tucker?
Yeah, Justin Tucker is probably the best. Let me see what we got. I mean, Koo's pretty good too, I think.
I like Tucker
We've got
and
Tucker,
Butker.
Bucker, Koo. We've got those guys as kind of like the clear like top three, I guess. Here.
I kind of like jumping ahead for the KC or Baltimore kicker again. The stupid micro edge I keep talking about. Like if one of them gets injured and takes a 0 in week 1, we can get another try at things. Which again, in a format where like you're trying to make the playoffs, like 1 week of taking a 0 at kicker can be the difference between making the playoffs and not.
Sermon goes. That's
Someone
kind
goes, it's a bummer.
of what bye. I always generally like the later bye week for kicker, but is it? But Tucker would be for the playoffs, and then it's sort of like, are you using a spot to pick up a kicker for the playoffs? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't we need to like have 2 kickers at that point anyways? Oh.
Well, that was for the league playoffs, but yeah,
okay.
we might. You said you like Butker though, right? We have Butker ahead.
Yeah,
I'd
I'd
take
go.
Butker, get a good kicker.
I'd take Butker. Yeah.
Let's go Butker. On the defense side of things, I'm trying to see. We have shout out Dink does the DST tiers. I think the every week starters, Jets, Cowboys, 49ers are all gone. Chargers, Bengals, Giants, Steelers as defenses with favorable early season matchups.
Okay. Yeah, I wish I had any defense takes. I've not gotten to that point of the fantasy season yet.
Yeah.
Chargers get Raiders week 1. That seems pretty good to me. But in this format, right? Like you want like games with a lot of passing attempts because the actual scoring doesn't matter that much, right? You're chasing like turnovers and sacks.
The FFPC in particular is extreme in that regard. Cincinnati's got Tampa Bay. Oh no, sorry, they've got New England, Kansas City, Washington, Carolina in their first 4 games. Yeah. So 3 out of 4 pretty good, 1 bad. We can probably just wait on the defense.
Did Theo Johnson get picked?
Theo Johnson did get picked.
Damn.
Let's go back to the draft board. He just got picked. I think we should take Sinnott next if he makes it back to us.
Yeah.
Justice Hill also got picked.
So if Sinnott goes, are there any other the rest of our kind of upside tight ends? I guess besides Tucker Kraft, that's the last guy you would include in that tier, right?
So let me see.
I mean, Chig, I kind of like too, man.
I like Chig a little bit. If you're talking, and then there's 2 guys that have the injury contingent upside, and Dawson Knox and Michael Mayer.
Yep.
But I probably have. I think Sinnott and Chig are probably the best picks right now. Honestly, I think those 2 are the best.
Yeah.
I like Kraft a lot, but he's behind those guys.
Yeah. Again, like we're chasing ceiling. Chig's a guy who's just like I think has a bit of an underrated ceiling based on you take his first 2 years in the league and averages yards per out run, targets per out run. Like it's a pretty exciting talent profile. I know he dropped off a little last year, but now with the Hopkins injury, if they're throwing as much as they say they're going to throw and Hopkins is banged up, like there's paths to him being the number 2 on a really pass happy offense. I think there's some good ceiling there.
Yeah, the concern with Chig is that it's going to be a tight end rotation, but like we'll take a chance and we'll see it, you know, at this price tag, you know, because if he does have like a really good week 1 or something, that's great for us. So Chig or Sinnott, I mean Chig might be better than Sinnott. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any like bye week weird tiebreakers
There's
like
Chig
that.
or Sinnott probably at tight end. Running back, Lauby would probably be the pick for me if we were taking running back here.
I think I like Chig.
Not go quarterback. Chig?
Yeah, I like Chig. Like,
all right, let's go Chig.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This other guy
tight end 30. I mean, that's a good price on Chig.
Yeah, I think there's a good upside there. And this other tight end they're talking about, Josh Weil, like he does not really profile as a blocking type. I think the doc on Chig is that like he's not a good inline blocker. This other guy graded out worse than him in a lot of the blocking stuff last year. A bit of a smaller size guy, so I'm not fully buying that they're going to go away from Chig. Okay, so probably one more.
Recapping our team. Jamar Chase at the 1-7 to start things off. Then Sam Laporta, Nico Collins, Mike Evans. We detoured off wide receiver to go Joe Mixon, which worked out well because then we still got Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, and Keon Coleman to give us 6 wide receivers in the first 8 rounds, 7 pass catchers in total. That's the PPR tight end premium upside. We're looking to kind of win an overall contest like this. Come back with Zach Moss, Trey Benson, Ray Davis, 3 of the next 4 rounds to shore up our running back room, and Caleb Williams in there, completing our Bears double stack. Take a break from pounding, the running backs on the bench to go Jalen Polk, another rookie wide receiver who we think could be like an emergency starter from day one for us, which is great. Then go back to the running back well, Audric Estime, Will Shipley, Tank Bigsby. Kind of caught in a spot where we didn't love anyone, so just took Harrison Butker to get one of the better kickers. Then take Chig Okonkwo as our backup tight end. You don't have to take a backup tight end and manage, but do think there's a smidge of upside there for him. And that leaves us with 2 picks, which is likely going to be, one has to be defense. The other one, likely a running back pick. I suppose you could go Sinnott and hope that you just hit on one of the tight ends and then drop the other, but I would definitely take Laube. I think I'd take Lauby or CEH ahead of a third tight end. And then if they went, that's where things get pretty ugly, and I might go third tight end.
Yeah. Speaking of ugly, the couple ugly options I had, I mean, Samaje Perine, if he gets cut and signs with one of these teams, that's like the fantasy everyone has, right? But that would be like an easy one. We're probably going to want one guy that we can cut and pick up like some unexpected guy before the week 1 waivers run anyways. Like Perine could be just like swing for some running back, Rico Dowdle gets injured, Samaje Perine gets cut, and he signs with the Cowboys. Something weird like that happens, right? But yeah, that's maybe Galaxy grading it.
Deonta Foreman had that injury scare, but I think he's like totally fine. And, Chubb seems pretty unlikely to start week 1. I think he's a pretty likely candidate for PUP. The question is, do we need that like front weighted production or not? We probably don't, because we got Moss and Mixon, who we feel pretty comfortable throwing in. And then even, Estime and Ray Davis might be starters. So maybe that takes the shine off Foreman, but
I don't think we're desperate for like the week 1 touches really on this team to go with Foreman.
Okay, so I would order it Lauby, CH, then either
then
Kraft
take a defense.
Yeah, maybe I would just I don't,
Yeah.
There's also speaking of like the Hopkins injury, like if we did want to take one last rookie receiver, there's Traylon Burks. Burks is not a rookie receiver, but there's Burks is like a young upside receiver swing. And then there are rookies here with Javon Baker, Luke McCaffrey. I'm also like vaguely interested in Jalen Tolbert, where if he's, Brandon Cooks, I think is pretty dusty at this point, and there's a ton of opportunity there where I wouldn't mind seeing Tolbert.
What it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's like sometimes I go very binary. Like at this point, just give me a rookie. But I think Tolbert just given that spot where they have so many drop back attempts, they really don't have a number 2. I could be talked into that as well.
Yeah, I might default to defense or like the best defense pick here, and
The issue with that is I don't know the best defense. I'm tempted to just take Cincinnati because they are very high up in ADP and they are in
Patriots
our
week 1.
tier 2 of Dank's DST rankings. And all the tier 1s are gone. So that would probably, you want to go Cincinnati here?
Yeah, I like that New England week 1 matchup. I kind of like just locking that in, and
Got to go running back DST correlation too. Am I right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. And we got Jamar Chase, so he's gonna go off, force the Patriots to throw a ton. It's gonna be sack city week 1.
then Zach Moss runs in a couple late with good field position. Beautiful.
Yeah, sorry. I couldn't decide on all the options there.
Yeah, so I think it's Lauby, CH, Tucker Kraft, and Devontae Walker, Jalen Tolbert. There's some other Traylon Burks.
Yoshi Voss is somewhat interesting.
Yoshi Voss I like better in best balls. I don't know if he has like the pure ceiling, but I could be just being too limited in what I see there.
I definitely see
I have
that.
a soft spot for Tolbert, to be honest. I
mean I like the take just to see what happens week 1. I mean, Brandon Cooks, I don't think has much left, and the praise for Tolbert's been pretty steady throughout the offseason. Yeah, it's just
the big question is just, I mean, I'd probably vote Tolbert here. I think we were pretty disciplined in hitting our running backs. I think an 8th wide receiver is okay. We've got 7 running backs, but that's probably where I would go is Tolbert.
Yeah,
but it's not. I don't feel crazy strongly. It's hard to feel strong. I mean, this is the 20th round. We passed on these guys for defense for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Davis is going to be quite. He's going to be quite appalled that we took a defense over Dylan Lauby. But
yeah, that's going to be tough for him to swallow. Yeah, I mean, I sound like a broken record at this point. The 2 of the other guys we're considering, Devontae Walker and CEH, we do have the option of cutting after week 1. So that's what I'm just like, man, getting 1 game of Pacheco playing a game and then get to decide if we keep or cut CEH is pretty tempting to me. Like if he's RB3 behind Prince in week 1, we can maybe even pick up Jalen Tolbert before he plays his game, right? Like I think there's a good chance Tolbert goes undrafted.
Right, because we can drop CEH. So so you're right. We should take CEH or Devontae, I think. I would go CEH first, Devontae second.
Yeah, because then we can drop one of these guys and then take another shot on Tolbert, etc.
Do you get the option of starting them after the game or just?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I've had it happen before. Like I think the first year I did main events was like the weird, Dalton Schultz versus Blake Jarwin year. I took Schultz in like the 17th round and he went off on that Thursday night game. And I just like started my 17th round pick in week 1 at tight end, like just because I had the option to, right? So weird stuff can happen with that.
I went from I don't care to you sold me on this, and now be annoyed if this guy times out and takes CH. I think he would take Stafford if he times out. No, he takes a cookie. A kicker. God, it's too late for me. 20th round. Oh my goodness, I got food on the brain. CH, we're gonna take CH, close this out again, as Sam hit on with that rule there. So yeah, final squad. This is very pass catcher heavy team, which is the upside we want. We go Jamar Chase from the 7th spot overall, Sam Laporta in the 2nd round, hit wide receiver for a while. I'm actually going to pull up our team in the draft room. I think it's a little bit easier to look at just by position. So Caleb Williams, our sole quarterback here. We get the double stack with him. We'll look at receiver in a second. Running back, one with a pseudo hero RB build, taking Joe Mixon in the 5th. And then we really just hit running back in the early mid double-digit rounds with Zach Moss, Trey Benson, Ray Davis, Audric Esme, Will Shipley, Tank Bigsby, CH, leaning into rookie upside and some handcuff contingent value there. We feel great about the pass catcher upside. Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, Keon Coleman gives us 6 wide receivers in the first 8 rounds. Finished off the position taking Jalen Polk in round 13. Tight end Sam Laporta in round 2 gave us the ETR overall tight end 1 there. Took Chigakonkwo late as a guy that just want to see what the role is week 1 because he does have that per route run upside. So how do you feel about the squad, Sam?
I really like it. I think the place I was most uncertain was that Mixon pick, and then looking back on it, I'm really happy we did that. I think we would have been scrambling and had to take a worse running back pick in sort of like the 6th, 7th, or maybe 9th rounds there instead of the wide receivers we liked. So really happy with that. A lot of pass catcher upside. I think the correlation is good. Just betting on the mega Caleb Williams season with all the awesome pass catchers there. And yeah, enough like upside at the running, not the sexiest names, Tank Bigsby, CEH, but guys that are probably 1 injury away from big roles. And then, we do still have the sexier upside bets like Trey Benson at running back. Overall, I like the team a lot. I think it's exactly what you want to do in this format. Lots of pass catcher upside, lots of contingent bets at running back with enough startability there.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm excited for the team. Make sure you check out all the content established to run. We have rankings for FFP season long. If you're playing this or the Fantasy Pros Championship that they have going on over there at a reduced cost to the main event, but still a fun top-heavy, similar rules, just a lot more teams in that. And me, Jack Miller, and Mark Dinkenbring of ETR, the guys that helped me a lot on the projection side of things, have entered a slow draft, a 2-hour slow draft main event. So we started off with a 101, banked that, took CMC, but we'll be updating people in an article on the site with our progress and sort of our pick-by-pick thought processes there. So make sure to check that out. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Go ahead, Sam.
Breaking news. Patriots have decided not to explore trading for Brandon Ayuk, so that Jalen Polk is going to smash.
Jalen Polk, baby. Let's go.
Thanks, everybody. That was fun.